I'm worried about being called lazy. I'm worried about getting a reputation as a bad game developer. I'm worried that everything I've worked for will collapse, and all of the work I've put into the game will be for nothing.
Just a robot!
Arguably the most popular mythology is Greek mythology. The main sin of all the Greek heroes was hubris. And the sin of hubris is all too familiar to game developers. Look no further than Phil Fish, a guy who made a really good game called Fez. But over time, he started acting like his fans owed him something, and to punish his fans, he said he wasn't going to finish the game he was working on. But has Yandere dev committed the sin of hubris? Or is he just a victim? Well, that's what we're here to find out today. Now, real quick, up until this point, I didn't really care about Yandere dev, and I didn't want to make a video about him, but I have gotten request after request to talk about him, so I'm finally caving in and doing so, because it's what a lot of my fans want, and to my fans, I owe you everything. I am a mere servant to all of you. Now, Yandere Simulator is a game where you play as a yandere. A yandere is someone who's obsessively in love with someone, and they'll do anything for their affection, maybe even killing. As someone who's dated a yandere before, let me tell you, it's absolutely terrible. She wanted us to have an open relationship, but she also didn't want me talking with other girls. It's pretty hard to have an open relationship when I can't talk with anyone else. It's a bit bizarre. Oh, and no, this person isn't Serpent Mythos. Now, a game from the perspective of a yandere is certainly a bizarre idea, but a lot of people were very interested in it. Even people like Markiplier and motherfucking PewDiePie were excited for it. I, myself, didn't really care for it. So once the game finally came out, I knew I wouldn't hear about it. But 6 years later, it still hasn't come out, and I have heard of it not coming out. I'm not much of an indie game guy. Cuphead is the only real one I played. So because I have no real attachment to Yandere Simulator, I realize that I'm the perfect person to talk about it. Yes, I am saying my opinion is better than yours. Now, from what I've gathered about Yandere dev, he has worked on a few games before this one, but none of them were nearly as big as this one was going to be. He was pretty much a nobody before this game was announced, and because of it, he got a lot of fame really fast. This created two issues. Number one, it put him in the spotlight too soon. I know a lot of us want to become the chosen one, like in Naruto or Harry Potter. And a lot of us also want to get famous on YouTube. And me, along with pretty much everybody else who uses this website, want to get a lot of views and subs really fast. And while that does sound like a good thing, it puts a lot of pressure on you. People without fame and fortune dream of having it, but people who do have it fear ever losing it. And this leads us into our second and even bigger issue, Yandere dev trying to keep the game alive as long as he could. Instead of focusing on the main game and the little details later, he was focusing more on the little details, such as Easter eggs and transformations, allowing the player to turn into Saitama and one-punch people, along with a whole bunch of other transformations. My personal favorite is the Captain Falcon transformation. But because the main game wasn't finished, year after year after year, people became more and more impatient. And ironically, what Yandere did to keep the game alive ended up killing it. As Master Oogway once said, one often meets his destiny on the road he takes to avoid it.
Yandere Simulator has a lifespan. The game is only alive for as long as people are interested in it. If people lose interest in the game, it's dead. If I release frequent updates, people will remain interested in the game. If I release updates slowly, people will lose interest in the game, and the game will get closer to death.
This made Yandere dev go from being famous way too fast to becoming infamous way too fast. He wasn't used to so many people criticizing him and insulting him, and because of it, he lashed out at them. Now, I totally understand. I have lashed out at a few of my fans from time to time, but you have to be really careful with it, because once you're a public figure, anything you say or do will be held against you. One time this guy was causing problems in my Discord server, and one day day I banned him, but because I said so to him 2 times, he took a screenshot, sent it to someone else, and they made a paragraph-long comment about how they lost all respect for me. And no, don't expect your audience to hear your side of the story, because they blocked me. Over time, Yandere not only lashed out at specific fans, but his fan base in general. He even said to people to stop emailing him stupid emails because he spends 8 to 12 hours a day responding to them.
9 days were spent answering emails, leaving me with 1 day to make this video.
Now, here's the thing. I don't check my email, but I do read comments. And I try to read every single one of them. But around the time I made my Has-Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss review, it just became too much. I was reading through the comments, and after an hour I decided to refresh the page, only to find out that there was 3 times the comments. And I'm not talking about every single comment, I'm talking about the ones with people actually saying something important. Not including the ones saying things like LOL, OMG, or at 1 minute 25 seconds you said this and made me rufflecopter. It was just too much, and that was just me reading comments, not even responding to them. I understand it's important to interact with your fan base, but only do a maximum of it 2 hours a day, and spend the rest of your time working on something that all your fans want. Don't focus on giving your fans what they want one at a time. You gotta look at the bigger picture and budget your time properly. But it is possible that Yandere Dev is just making this shit up. But no one knows for sure. But if he is telling the truth, he clearly doesn't know what the Streisand effect is. If you tell someone to stop doing something, they're just going to do it.
Time to check my email. I bet I got way less than usual.
However, there is still a good chance for Yandere Dev to redeem himself. But unfortunately, everything I told you happened before 2017. An artist by the name of Sozo Maika, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, did a whole bunch of work for him, remodeling the characters, making everything look good, and a bunch of other stuff. She was only a teenager at the time, so all she wanted was credit and not money. And Yandere didn't even do that. God, I'm getting flashbacks to Madame. And she's not the only one who has had problems with Yandere Dev. There are dozens, and I mean dozens of stories from people who have worked with Yandere Dev. And most of them are pretty negative. They range from being overworked, to being underpaid, to being fired because they were trying to fix his really awful code. Now, I am a college dropout, but when I was in college, I was learning how to code video games. Long story short, it was way too complicated, hard, and not really fun for me. If you're gonna ask me if I can give you advice for coding or show you how coding works, to be honest, I forgot everything I learned. I just remember there are if commands, open brackets, close brackets, and, you know, the basic stuff. But even someone as unexperienced as me can say that his code is absolutely atrocious. One lesson I remember them teaching me is that code is not just for you. It's for everybody who's working on your project with you. So you need to make your code readable. But after looking through his code, I finally realized what the problem was. Yandere Dev was not prepared to work on a project like this. He was not even prepared to hire others to work on a project with him like this. If your code is this bad, it's just going to make even more work for everyone else. It's like trying to build a building on top of a really poor foundation. You can throw as much money at it as you want, but the building is not going to be a good building, or get finished in a reasonable amount of time. Now, I'm not Yandere Dev, and I don't know him personally, but I have a guess of what he's going through. He did not expect to get this big so fast, and he thought he owed it to everybody to finish the game, but he also did not want to lose the spotlight. He didn't want to admit he was in over his head, and now 6 years later, it's too late to turn back. Coders like Dr. Apex, in 2 weeks, has vastly improved the game, and fixed the code. Now granted, because Yandere Dev was working on the game for 6 years, he did have a blueprint. So it's not like he could do this from scratch in 2 weeks. At least I don't think he could. But the point is, why his progress is working so much faster is because he has a good foundation. He has the same blueprints to the building, but he has a good foundation. Another YouTuber by the name of WNM is doing the same thing as Dr. Apex. But Yandere Dev wants him to cease production, and if he doesn't, he could commit self-deletion. I can't say the dreaded S-word or YouTube will demonetize me. Not that it would really matter, because Yandere Dev has also been accused of copyright claiming videos. As far as I'm aware, he's so far only copyright claimed 2 videos done by one guy. But that's how it always starts. Just a couple here and there, but over time, he'll copyright claim more and more, just like Suzy Lou.
Copyright claimed 2 of my videos. He did himself. I'm talking with him in email right now. I said I was going to repeal it, and that's it. 2 strikes. I have to wait 180 days for them to expire. He legitimately attacked me.
Now, Yandere Dev, I'm sure you have faced legitimate harassment, and you do feel that people talking about you are just doing it for the views and subs. You even said so in one of your videos.
Channels that are dedicated to ridiculing and shaming other people. These YouTubers make money by degrading, debasing, and defaming others. Eventually, these YouTubers will hear what the gremlins are saying about you, and then they will start making videos about you. It doesn't benefit them to portray you with accuracy and honesty. It benefits them to exaggerate your flaws and depict you as a cartoonish caricature of who you really are.
But here's the thing, even if people are doing it for just views and subs, a lot of what they're saying is true. Yes, I understand that Yandere Dev has created a debunk page where he has debunked a few of the people talking about him. Granted, a few people have debunked those debunks, but you get the point, at least he's doing something. The problem is he didn't do this until really late into the game. And now, with everything I've talked about in this video, it seems that the end of Yandere Dev is upon us. Flying close to the sun is fun, but eventually your wings will get burnt. If there's anything I want you all to take away from this video, it's what not to do on the internet. My eyes have seen the glory of the cleansing of YouTube, debunking SJWs and feminazis too. We criticize reactionists in hopes they get the boot. Just the robot marches on. Man, all of this stuff with faking self-deletion to get sympathy, it just reminds me of my head, my memories of who I used to be. They're coming back. I'm remembering my past, and I finally understand why I became a robot.
Oh my god. Ooh. Ooh. What a nice view. Looking pretty good up there. Look at that. Just beautiful. Here, honey, come down. Come down and give your lover a kiss. That's a good girl.